Well. It looks like some news has recently come out of Epstein's existence still being here, which is that something I mentioned 2 videos ago on the Armor of God video, the thumbnail. So yeah, I mentioned that in the previous video, and it's crazy. Literally, I'm pretty sure it was the next day. I was working on another video though before that, so I couldn't bring it up in the last video. But that shit is crazy, huh? I mean, who is to say that it's not somebody else? But who else would have his email to his Fortnite account? You know, so it's not gonna. It doesn't make any sense. Whatever. So he's still alive, apparently. I honestly do believe it's him. You know, uh, it's just been the ploy that they've done for so long. Especially that somebody that higher up, which obviously these motherfuckers here on Hollywood, but all the names that have been exposed, will be exposed, and it's just crazy to me, man. It's fucking wild, and we got so many people out here shilling. Man, it's really disappointing. I talked about it in the previous video. That same motherfucker I was talking about in the last video, turns out he fucking making another update video on the whole situation. Uh, you know what? I'm gonna outright say it, man. Man, this is not defending, but allegedly, the whole situation, like I said, it was Charlie Sheen. That's who I got. I think I might have mistaken who it was. I'm pretty sure I didn't name the name because I wasn't sure, but Charlie Sheen. He makes another update video, and he was so giddy, so happy that Charlie Sheen ended up following him after the whole situation. I guess because he was defending him, right? And his motherfucker was being such a kiss ass, and then the comments switched up. In the previous post, we had a bunch of people were like, "Oh my God," they're like in shock, right, about the whole situation. Because some of us were actually talking back. We're saying that, just look up at this, or taking little jabs and shit, whatever. And lo and behold, I see that video today, before making this video, and this guy's kissing ass, and pretty much the whole comment section is kissing ass, and that's crazy to me. Like, I mean, what did I expect from the modern day humans? I guess, society. I guess, it's like you can't really expect much of these fucking retards. I'm calling them what they are, retards. It's like one day you're fighting against this system that that you think is collapsing, and then all of a sudden you want to switch up and be like, oh yeah, not back to normal. And it's something that I knew. This is shit that they've been testing, and this is why they've been doing stuff like those riots, the plants that were in during the COVID era and shit. It's like, is the reason they had all this shit going on is just to desensitize people and just control the way that things were gonna turn out, right? And that's exactly what they did. They implemented all that they learned through those riots, or that time. Anytime there was like an outbreak, like in media or like protesters or whatever. I should say protesters, not media. And it's crazy, like, and they're using that shit against you again. They fucking are the ones developing the memes, making fun of themselves. It's not a. What do you think? It's not a problem to all of a sudden now talk about the juice boxes, right? Just call it spade spade, right? I'm not saying all of them. I know every culture, every race, society, whatever, has its people who are just terrible people in general. That's just how it goes, and you gotta understand, like, at what point does it stop? You know, and all the evidence is there. I don't want to go too deep into it because obviously it's still a no-no type thing. But like, what do you think? All of a sudden, everyone wants to talk about them and blame them as much, definitely more openly now than it was before. And I don't have like this burning passion of hate. I guess I did at one point, but I just, maybe I'm part of the problem too. Maybe I'm desensitized. Oh, I'm getting desensitized now. Like, it's like, the whole thing. As somebody who's been in this fucking rabbit hole, or dipping in and out, doing my shadow work, working on myself, doing all that stuff. Like, and I get it, because some people are going under psychosis. They're like, they don't understand. Like, some of them are finding it hard to live, knowing that the truth is out there now. And that's something that we all had to go through when we were down here earlier. back when everyone was calling us crazy. You know, like we did the work, we did the inner work. Now it's your guys' turn, and I guess I expected too much from everyone. Really, it's like I knew that nobody's gonna revolt. I thought there'd be at least some militia groups, maybe, you know, like haven't you ever noticed? Well, I don't know if you guys, uh, back when I was growing up in the early 2000s, uh, in late 90s, the tail end of the 90s and 2000s, some of the shows, that cartoons and whatnot, always had the same thing, the whole same premise. Or they would have that one-off episode where it's like they go into the future, society is crumbled, and there's a bunch of militia groups living in under in caves or like underground system, right, on the sewers, and then trying to overthrow the war government or like some giant entity, you know. And it's crazy, like, and it goes back to what I said in the last video. Like, there's just so much in, like, it's been in my face the whole fucking time, and I feel like I'm the only one who's noticed it. I'm the only one who's questioned a lot of stuff. Like, how the fuck did we really get into the fucking moon? Even though I wanted to be an astronaut when I was younger, right? Just to find out for myself. Because I questioned it. I did question it even as a child. And then I'm like you need to for you to understand what kind of thoughts I was having. Here's one example. Ever since I was a kid, mind you, I was like 4 years old because I remember having this specifically in the first grade. I remember specifically it was in the first grade when I had this thought. So I was like 4 years old and I was in the first grade, and I was a bunch of other obviously older kids because they were 6. I was born in October, so kind of the tail end of the year. So whatever. My point is like I was that young thinking about if we're the size of atoms, you know, because I knew something was like in my mind. I guess it was like I was comparing it to an ant as a kid. But point is, if we were as small as atoms, and then we are just making up something bigger, you know, like if we were able to perceive atoms for what they really are, they'd probably be humans. In my mind, obviously, this is I'm a 4-year-old. And then what if we're just little clumps of cells, or what if we're like organs, each of us walking around or some shit, and we just make another giant body, or this is a body of God or whatever giant, or it could just be a giant or another human being, you know, and they're living in another world that's way more gigantic than our mind can expand. I mean, because I was thinking about shit like this, because obviously when you had to do the projects with the sun, or you were learning about the sun and shit, and you learn, well, specifically me, because I would always skim through books every fucking year, like you know, ever since high school, whatever, up to high school, I should say. Or just skim through books and be like, oh, this is interesting, this is cool, you know. And then I'll like skim through it a little bit, and then I saw like supernovas, you know, giant fucking. So it's like more giant planets than we can even understand than our own and shit. So I'm like, damn, that shit is fucking crazy, you know. So theoretically, we could be a fucking clumps of cells forming another giant human being, and we wouldn't even know it. Think about that one. And while I'm at it, well, I should say that when I was skimming through those books one year, this might have been like in middle school, so it was like maybe 2010 to like 2012 or some shit like that. And I told my teacher, because I was skimming through the books and then I finding, and it was kind of like it was starting to grow as popularity for this conspiracy theory, which was the cloud seeding. So weather modifications and all this shit, they can control weather. And I mentioned it to my teacher, right? Because I was not only because I wanted to waste time, but I was genuinely curious, because I was that type of student. Like I would much rather learn something that I'm way more interested in. And I think it has to do with ADHD. But anyways, here was the thing. I went up to the teacher. I said it out loud. Even everyone else in the classroom started paying attention. And they're like, oh, let me check it out. You know, there was, well, some of them. You know, there's like one or two that was just like, you know, don't give a fuck type of kid. Genuinely like trying to be a badass or whatever. So I didn't give a fuck. But whatever. Point is, I before I got a little bit ahead of myself, but I told the teacher what she thought about it, right? And she kind of looked at me crazy, you know. Man, this is what I mentioned in the previous video. Like I was kind of teacher skeptical, and this happened throughout many years with different teachers for me. But anyways, because I was always speaking out, and I told her what she thought about it. She said, "Oh, it's kind of weird. Don't believe those conspiracies, whatever." So then I told her about the page. That's when everyone flipped to the page because they were either curious or wanted to know a little bit more. And I saw the shock in her face, and then she kind of like was there. And I believe like the majority of the population is going through that now. which is kind of like psychosis phase of like when your world starts to crumble when you don't believe it's exactly what you thought it was. And I mean, it doesn't happen for everyone, but I believe a lot of us are gonna go through that similarly now. Some of us already dealt with that, which is another topic that I mentioned in the previous video. It's just, you know, look inward and trying to like fix yourself. Don't let it get to you too much. But it's definitely something I feel like we gotta do about it. You know, like it's been going on for years, and pretty soon something's gonna, shit's really gonna hit the fan, and gonna have to do something about it. But anyways, I'm in the here. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. Uh, you know what you guys want to see in the back. Or if you have any personal questions or anything that you want to know, I'll see you on the next one. Yeah, this is.